Why did my neighbor's dog walk itself to my doorstep every day at 2 p.m. for 3 months after my neighbor moved away? So I'd been living next to this guy Gerald for like 8 years. His golden retriever Vector was basically everyone's favorite dog on the street. Every single morning at 7 a.m., Gerald would walk Vector past my house, and Vector had this whole routine where he'd stop at my lawn, sit in this exact spot by my mailbox, and wait for me to come out with a treat. The dog was scary smart, like unnaturally smart. He knew which days I worked from home and would bark once at my window around lunch. Gerald used to joke that Vector knew our schedules better than we did. Then one random morning in March, Gerald's house was just empty. No moving truck, no goodbye, nothing. His car was gone, and the house was dark. The realtor sign went up that afternoon. Apparently some family emergency made him move 15 miles away. The day after that, I was working on my laptop when I heard this scratching at my front door. Not knocking, but like persistent scratching, like nails dragging down wood. I looked through the peephole and saw nothing, but the scratching kept going. When I opened the door, I literally jumped back. Vector was sitting there wagging his tail in the exact same spot where he used to wait for treats every morning. But that made zero sense because Gerald lived 15 miles away now. I figured maybe Gerald came back to check on the old house or something. So I looked up and down the street for his car, but there was nobody. Vector just stared at me with those brown eyes, tail thumping against my welcome mat like everything was normal. I called Gerald immediately, and his voice got all weird when he answered. He said Vector had been in their new backyard all morning, that he'd literally just checked on him an hour ago. I sent him a photo of Vector on my porch, and Gerald went completely silent. Then he started talking really fast, saying this was impossible, that he was looking at Vector right now in his yard. We were both looking at Vector in 2 different places at the same time. The next day, the scratching happened again at 2 p.m. sharp. This time, I was ready with my phone recording everything. Called Gerald while Vector was sitting there, and Gerald put me on FaceTime to show me Vector was also at his new house, chewing on a tennis ball in the backyard. My hands started shaking. Gerald drove over, but by the time he got to my place 40 minutes later, Vector was gone from my porch. Gerald called me from his car, voice cracking, saying Vector was back home in his dog bed like nothing happened. This went on every single day, for 3 months straight. Gerald bought this expensive GPS tracker, and what it showed made absolutely no sense. The tracker showed Vector leaving Gerald's yard at 1:15 p.m., then traveling in a perfectly straight line to my house, not following roads, straight through buildings, through the river, through the industrial complex, like he was walking through walls. The GPS showed him at my door at exactly 2 p.m., staying for 12 minutes, then the same impossible straight line back. Gerald hired this animal behaviorist, Dr. Sarah something, who had a PhD from Cornell. She watched the GPS data live one day and kept saying, "This isn't possible," over and over. Her hands were literally trembling looking at the screen. She said, dogs can navigate using magnetic fields, but they can't phase through solid matter. She actually used the word phase. We set up cameras along what should have been Vector's route based on the GPS. They never caught him, not once. The local rangers decided to call him the ghost dog. They brought in some physics professor who started talking about quantum entanglement and parallel dimensions, but you could tell even he didn't believe what he was saying. Gerald was losing it. He said Vector would disappear from the yard, then reappear exactly 27 minutes later, never tired, never dirty, completely calm, like he'd just been sleeping the whole time. After 3 months of this insanity, Gerald couldn't take it anymore. He literally broke his lease and moved back to our neighborhood. The day he moved back, Vector stopped coming to my door. Just stopped. No final visit, no goodbye, nothing. He went back to being a completely normal dog. The GPS tracker showed normal dog movements. No more impossible straight lines through solid objects. Gerald and I don't talk about it. Sometimes I catch him staring at Vector with this expression like he's afraid of his own dog.